guy.
Hey, John.
Roosevelt, how you been, man? I ain't seen you in a while.
I know, man. I know. It's it's a lot going on here in the Atlanta area, man. And I got a lot of projects that I've been working on. Video projects.
Yeah, I saw your video you were working on. I did see it at a Zoom like this one. You were working on a video about Swepco Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How's that project coming?
Hey, man. It's slow, but it's getting there. You know how it is. It's getting there. I also I did an interview with some kids at Friendship House last time I was in Shreveport.
Oh yeah,
and I'm working on that video. Trying to get that out for them. The kids at the Friendship House are actually trying to start their own podcast.
Yeah, I heard about that. We talked about that on a previous show. So have they got the stuff they need to get started on that?
Yes, they have the equipment. And we actually recorded the interviews at that Friendship House in South Highland. And, I'm working it out, trying to get it together. But they have all the equipment, man. Deidre's going to have, she's going to have them up and running in no time. And I'm really looking forward to what they're going to produce. I mean, I think that, those kids are very talented. And I think that their voices need to be heard, especially, at that age, you feel as if nobody's listening to you.
Right.
And what I always tell them is it's not that we're not listening to you, but when we are listening, you probably, make sure you say something, right?
Right.
You say something and say something good. So this is, I think this is something that I'm really looking forward to having them get started with, I want to see them do well.
I do too. Plus, you old guys, they probably tired of listening to us talk because you're how old now?
I'm 43 now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
and
about
I know how my kids are.
Yeah, they're tired of old people talking. but I bet you got a young man for us to talk to today. Who you got?
Well, I hate to say it, John. He's old as me.
But probably a better athlete, though, right? He's more rounded in his athleticism, if I could just guess.
We'll leave that up for the beat. But I'm gonna tell you what he is. Eric, our guest today is the director of Bilbery Park, and he's also a minister. People, this man. I'm just gonna say this. I'm not gonna try to give a long introduction to this man, but Aaron has always been a good guy, right? You hear people say, "Oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy," right? But I'm gonna go ahead and give him his roses right now while he's alive. Aaron has always been a great person, and he's always been a person that has brought up your spirit when you see him, right? When you see Aaron, he's gonna say hello. He's so sociable, and he's been like that since I've known him. Nobody, I don't know too many people that has ever said anything bad about Aaron. He may have something bad about him. His jump shot may be off or something like that. I don't know. But for me, that I know him, I can't tell you a bad thing about this person. And this person is Mr. Aaron Lewis. How you doing today, Aaron?
Oh man, I'm good. Glad to be here with you. I don't know about all that good stuff, man. I don't know about all that good stuff you talk about. I got my flaws like everybody else. I think I made some people. I think I made you mad in class in PE. Matter of fact, in Coach Tisdale's PE class, I think we had some words one time. But I think that's what made our friendship so great, that we can have some words and still walk out of the gym and be free. That walking down the hallway like ain't nothing happened just a few minutes ago. But thank you for that. I didn't know you loved me like that.
They love me. They really love me.
Love me.
Hey man, I am I'm honored to have you on, and I'm honored to have you on because you being just a great person, you're also involved in the community, but being the director of Bilbery Park, I mean, seeing Bilbery Park, seeing the change, seeing what's going on up there with the programs for the kids, and just seeing the community garden. My mom was so impressed with that community garden. She was like, oh, they got, oh yeah, oh, you know, she was geeking out, right? And I was geeking out too. And you know, I wanted to have you on because we at Allendale Strong right now, we're working on getting Swepco Park back up and running. We're not looking to have a community center, but it would be nice. But what we are looking into is getting that park up and running and getting that park to be a part of the neighborhood and be an essential part of the neighborhood and bring the neighborhood up like Bilbery Park is doing for Queensboro. Can you kind of give us some understanding of the programs that you guys have at Bilbery Park? I know you went into some of the programs that we talked about before recording. If you can, ramble those programs off again, and even go into other ones you didn't talk about.
Okay. First of all, I'm the center manager.
Okay.
I'm the center manager. Our director for Spark, the work with Spark, is Shelley Regal.
Okay.
Shelley Regal is our head director for Spark. And then over recreation is Mr. Joe Miro. But what we have at several things that we have going on at Bilbery Park. Yes, we partner with, starting with our garden, we partner with Shreveport Green. That helps us build our garden. Shreveport Green is big in agriculture and beautifying the community. Matter of fact, last Saturday we planted 16 trees around the center with that to add some more beauty to it in my beautification dream for Bilbery Park, to beautify the park. And we gave away trees to community people that wanted to plant trees in their yard. That we gave away like 200 trees. And from that, we were given 6 trees that we're going to plant at Boogie T. Washington on behalf of the class of 96 and the class of 93, which is me and Charles Himes. So we're going to be planting trees at the school as well to kind of get more beauty of that. We have our boxing program. We do free boxing lessons for kids 6 and to adults with Mr. Jerry Stevens at our center. We do all those kind of good things. I mean, it's free, keyword, free. We have an after-school program. We have athletic programs. We're just getting out of football season, and 2 of our teams with one of our classmates, Ayers McHenry. They're actually today are playing in the championship game today at Independence Stadium. But they are housed here at Bilbery Park. We get out of football, we're going to basketball and get out of that and going to t-ball and softball and girls and boys. And then we'll go into volleyball. Hey, we have a lot of athletic programs. And then along with our holiday camps, our next week we'll start our harvest camp, which is 3 days while kids are out for Thanksgiving break. We have 2 weeks in December while they're out for Christmas break. Spring break, we have a camp. And then summertime, we have a 10-week camp. So kids will always have something to do at our centers. We have, with the Urban League, is hosting our robotics program with Coach Billy Wayne, our African-American studies coach, whose legendary word was, we're acting like some Ethiopian poster babies. I don't know if he ever called you that, Roosevelt, but, he used to say that, he used to call you an Ethiopian poster baby, because we act like we really needed some help. And he was here to give us that help that we needed So with that same mentality, we have to give that back to our community because our children need that same help. They might not be on a poster, but hey, they need those same reach out and touch atmospheres. They need those same mentoring opportunities that other people are allotted to. The difference is the best mentorships a lot of times cost you something. Here we're trying to give it to you for free. And a lot of times it requires a lot of volunteers, a lot of people that are willing to go into service for others. And that's when we think about our veterans, they serve our country. And I heard my friend, Pastor Brian Wilson, say that the other day, that we need more people serving children and more people serving our communities. And that's where we start seeing the change in our communities, when we start going back and serving where we came from, serving the people that have been there for us. Our city could be a lot better when we start serving each other again. What else do we have? We have a Shark Tank going on today. Kids are learning with Ms. Naomi Pace how to put a business plan together, how to open their own business, knowing the difference between a career and a job. My job, I started working at Independence Stadium. That was my job. But my career turned out to be, I'm going to be here dealing with recreation, serving people. That's my career. It's a lot there that we have to do to help people. I don't know if I covered the basis of what you was asking, but I mean, the key thing for us is service. That's what makes the difference. We have to become servants. And when you become a servant, you offer a service. That's what Jesus always talked about, us being servants and giving a service.
And I love to hear it, man, because you're correct. We really do need people serving the community and serving the children. That old African adage, it takes a village, right? And it does take a village. It takes it takes more than one person. I always bring up the story, and I know I've said it on this podcast millions of times, about when my sister went missing and my mother came out panicking, looking for my sister. About time my mom got down to the second block of our street, we had all the streets, March Street, Christopher Street, Bowman, all of them, they were out looking for my sister. And it just so happens that she was in one of the teachers' houses getting tutored, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, so it takes a village. It always takes a village to raise a child. And when you don't have that type of kind of cooperation in the community, you start to see that breakdown in that community. I just read an article, and I called you last night, and I said I was going to bring it up in this one. I read an article last night that was sent to me by Kim Mitchell, and is by a study by the Brookings Institute. And the Brookings Institute pretty much did this study, and they figured out that the more you invest in the people in the community, you start to reap the benefits. The city starts to reap the benefits, right? You have, last time I was there, Bilbery Park was actually getting some new lights on the baseball field. And they were actually getting some other upgrades probably later on the baseball and the softball field. Tell me what kind of that type of investment. Tell me, what do you think is going to help out, and what kind of I guess, what are we going to get out of it for the community? That type of investment.
That type of investment. When SPAR decided to upgrade, and a lot of times, because we have people out playing at night, you have team practicing at night, and it'd be dark, it'd be pitch black. So they decided that we need to upgrade our lighting to be energy efficient to save the city money, and taxpayers' money, because taxpayers pay for everything that goes on in the city, to be more energy efficient. The lights that we have out there should not burn out, should not have to be changed for the next 5 years. And there's LED, they're so bright, man. When you turn all those lights on, I mean, it not only lights up the park, but it lights up the neighborhood that's adjacent to the park. So now you deteriorate any type of crime that would normally happen in the dark. Because it's lit up now, you can't say, I mean, man, it's too bright over there. You know, we do anything over there, we're gonna be seen, you know? And then it makes people feel comfortable that, yeah, the park closes at 10, but you know us when we were little, you know, if your mama let you, on Friday night was the only time you could stay out late.
Yeah.
And if you got out when the sun went down and the lights came on in the park, you was okay because the lights were on, but you was in a park where there was no lights. It was time to head on back to the house, you know? So that gives kids opportunity to be kids again, even and feel in a safe environment. Those are just some of the minor upgrades. And it makes the community feel a whole lot better, you know, because they talk about how dark it is. And not only did our center get those, all the community centers are getting those. They're getting new lights all around because our centers are dark. So the city's invested in doing those things to make our city feel safe, and then to bring that excitement about, you know, I can go to the park and enjoy myself now because now it's not so dark as it used to be, you know. Those are like the big things. And Saturday when we got together for our class reunion, they were doing those things. So it was exciting to know that they were working on those things while y'all were there, to be able to see that there is progress happening in the city. When they say there's nothing happening, yeah, there is stuff happening. We just don't pay attention to the changing of a light. You know, we don't pay attention to that. We want major construction, but it's the small things that end up making the difference in the long run, you know. Changing the light, you know, hey, now I got light.
There you go.
If a building burns down, there's still a light pole out there, you know? We still have light. So
yeah,
those it's the small steps that we make. We want those major steps. We want those big things that we can stick our chest out. I'm excited about the lights, you know, because Lakeside Park, which is CC Antoine. We didn't have no lights on the basketball court. No matter what, you had that one light that was over in the parking lot. And that was so far away from that court that, you know, you played till the sun went down. And when the sun went down, everybody knew it was time to go home. Now you don't have that. You don't have that feeling. It makes you feel that, like back in the day, that now kids can really enjoy being in the park.
Definitely. I remember Swamco Park didn't have a light over that basketball court. And in the wintertime, you just wasn't gonna play, right? It was that you just, when the time changed, that was it. They can't go play basketball no more. And I'm glad that you brought up the notion of the little things, the little investments in the community, as small as a light, because that's the thing. And John, help me out with this one. I know that there was they were talking about some light poles or something like that. You know what I'm talking about, John?
Well, I know that Shreveport, the budget's so tight, so I appreciate that those are low energy lights, that they let them burn out. You know, they just say we can't afford to run the electricity on our street lights. And so one by one, they'll go out on, say, like the 220 bridge, and it becomes dark. And you call and ask them, but I found out that over in Stoner Hill, there was a row of houses or two that the lights were off, and they'd call SWEPCO, the power company here, and say, why aren't the lights on? Oh, well, we're on it, you know. And eventually one of the residents called and said, it's almost like the city hadn't paid the electric bill. And the call taker said, yeah, that's actually it. They just let them go out, or they just don't pay it. So you'll see like a whole street, like Lakeshore Drive, I've seen like that, where all the lights but one's on. or something. And they do that, it's just the city's out of money and you can't raise the taxes anymore because nobody can afford to pay higher taxes. So it's hard. And I just have one other thought. I think you're so right about that, just those little things with kids. Like a friend of mine who was, I think he was Green Oaks 76, was a teacher, and he was working for the VOA, which has a program in schools to bring folks who are free during the day into the classroom to tutor kids in at-risk schools, at-risk kids inside of at-risk schools, so that it's bad and they know that they're not on track, and they say third graders can decide, I'm not going to graduate from high school by the time they're in third grade. So you come into that room, dad's over the road truck driver, so he's not home very much. Mama works the graveyard at Walmart, works nights, so they're not home to spend that time with the little guy saying, hey, man, let's work on our math skills and get you caught up, or let's work on our reading. But they have this wonderful program I was participating in until COVID, where I could go into the school every, say, Tuesday at 10 o'clock and spend 1 hour with one kid every week during that whole year. And you can catch a kid back up and give them confidence they can do that, to the point where one little guy actually went to his grandmother and asked, would you help me with my reading? And he went from, a fifth grader reading on a first, second grade level to caught up by the end of the year, just because, I'm not a teacher, but I can teach a kid, how to do, I can encourage them and just say, hey man, how was your day? And all of that, and make them feel like they're special, and then read with them for an hour, or do times tables, second grade times tables with a fifth grader and catch them up. So what a wonderful program, and what an important program you guys have over there at Bilbery, because just that, hour a day with a kid can change their outcome of their lives,
And I think I want to change that notion. We've got so comfortable saying people are at risk. I never knew growing up I was ever at risk, because my mother didn't program us that way.
Right.
She never made us feel like we was at risk. Our finances, was a kid, I don't know. We didn't have what other people had, no, but she always told us that we could be whatever we set our mind to be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of her key words that she stole from her dad growing up, she always wanted something, and he would tell her, that's your next job. And she would tell us the same thing. I asked her one day, Mama, what do you mean that's my next job? She says, anything you want, you got to work for it. You got to earn it. So anything you want to become, you're going to have to work for it. And that's what we apply. There's no kids at risk when you can actually reach out and touch. A child that is at risk is a child that doesn't have anybody, But there's nobody that don't have anybody. We all can touch somebody some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us the at-risk title so they can get government fundings and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
They're at risk, so let's throw money this way because they don't have what everybody else have. Again, a lot of stuff is how you impart knowledge into somebody. Because I never knew I was ever at risk, That's at risk.
That's good.
What am I at risk from? Mm-hmm. They said we wanted to live to be 21 or 18. I was never told I was gonna die before I got to 21 or 18, I was told I was gonna live to be old age, And so that's what I do with our kids. I live to, hey man, you're not at risk. You control your destiny. You control who you can become, what you can become, the choices that we make, and you have to drop those investment of those little bitty seeds into a person. I'll tell you this, and I'll let y'all move on. I have 3 kids that come to my center. They were terrible little boys. Terrible. And I would tell them every day, hey, go home. Go home. And they kept saying, Coach, why we gotta keep going? I said, because this is why. because you don't know how to do this. When you come to a building, you speak. You're mindful of what people are, who they are, and what their position is. And you come in polite, you're nice. People do more with kindness than they will with rudeness. So I had to teach you, rudeness don't get you anywhere. But now when you come in, they come in and say, hey, Coach Aaron, hey, Coach, is the gym open? Hey, Coach, can this happen? And you're like, okay. And like today, he came in. I said, hey, man, where's your belt? Oh, Coach, I'm sorry, I forgot. Let me go home and get it. He went home, got his belt, put it on, and came back. That's what you have to do. Those are the investments that you have to make, because children are like a sponge. If you dip them into enough knowledge, they'll soak it up. And all that you have to do is they'll squeeze it, and you'll squeeze it, all of it right out of them, and they can share with somebody else. Now, when they bring people, hey man, look, you ain't got the right shoes on. You need to go get your shoes. You need to pull your pants. Just those little simple servant investments that we have to make.
Yeah, you're so right. One of my favorite students when I was, and this program starting back up, you can use volunteers, but the little guy was like, I want to move to Arkansas because I'm tired of being in a failing school. He knew that school was considered failing by the school system, and that made him think like I'm in a group of failures, and so he said, move to Arkansas because they have better schools than we have in Louisiana. I thought, so I said, what you want to be, when you finish school? What are you going to do? He said, I want to be a truck driver like my daddy. I said, all right, well, you got to know some reading if you're going to be able to read maps and read instructions and fill out forms. You got to read if you want to be a truck driver. And little by little, he got his confidence up just on the simple things. And the next thing he knew, he was hungry for it. Couldn't wait for the next week. He'd ask grandma, can you come over and help me read tonight? But it was an amazing experience for me to see what a little difference it makes, just a little at a time, incrementally. You can get them back up to speed, but we don't have enough. The teachers don't have enough time. So they tend to let them go if they're embarrassed because they can't read or do the math, go up to the board and work the math out. They just go on and get themselves in trouble and go sit in the vice principal's office all day and put their feet up, And we said, no, you can come in this room. We're going to give you, some extra time and give you some snacks as a reward if you do your work, little things you can't get in school. But yeah, you're so right. So I'm curious, how did you transition from work into the ministry? What was your call that said I could do more?
Well, I've always been in the church. I wasn't raised in a family where you got to choose if you wanted to go to church or not. I was raised in a house where it was a dictatorship. They told you was going to church. And it wasn't like we called a vote and said, okay, we're going to go to church today. No. Mom and them said, when they hit the floor and the lights come on Sunday morning, you knew what to do. And so it goes back to, I've always been in the church. The difference was I had a praying mother, I had a praying father, I had a praying grandmother. And they prayed that God would use their grandchildren, their children. And my dad is a Baptist preacher. And I did not want to be a Baptist preacher. Let me tell you what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a deacon in the church, counting the money, smoking a cigar. That's what I wanted to be. I mean, because as a kid, growing up in church, when the offering was over, they'll go take the money, go in the back, go in the financial office, count the money, smoke cigarettes, and come back out midway through the service. I was like, oh yeah, that's the life right here. That's what I wanted to be. But God had another plan for me. I love being around people. So all my friends, truth told, all my friends, except for Roosevelt and a few others, because they were already in a church. But most of my friends that went to school with me joined our church because they were always at my mother's house. And And we was always doing something at the church. And that got us so involved and wanted to be at the church. And then God just started elevating you to another level. I remember even in middle school teaching Sunday school to adults. I'm sitting like, what can I tell them, you know? But it was the way how God started doing that thing, that I was able to go to different places and just speak. And then at 12, God started to call on my life. And like any other person that said he didn't want to be a Baptist preacher because my dad is a preacher, we already at the church all day. It's just too much required into it because I didn't like reading. I'm gonna be honest, I did not like reading growing up. I didn't like it. But preaching requires you to do a lot of reading. And so, I mean, when God come, I made a deal with God. God, give me more time. But every Sunday, to remind me of my promise that I made to him, he gave me more time, but every time they opened the doors of the church, it felt like they were talking just to me. And I knew I had been saved, you know, and it just seemed like, but God kept letting me know, hey, I ain't going nowhere. You know, I told you what I want you to do. And at this point in time, God got enough of me and told me, and I share this with everybody. I said, when God called me, I was laying in the bed with my wife at the time. And I woke up, I told her it was so hot. It was so hot. And we're in the summertime. I'm like, turn the heat off. She's like, baby, the air is on. I'm burning up. Physically, I was burning up. I didn't have no fever. I was hot. She took my temperature. I didn't have no temperature, but I was burning. She could feel the heat on my body. And God said, I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you. He said, either you're going to do this or you're going to die. And I'm like, huh? If I don't do this, I'm going to die. Really, God? Yeah, because you're no good to me if you're not going to do what I want you to do. You're no good to me. And so at that point, I got up and went to my mother's house with tears in my eyes, told her what God had called me to do, and called my pastor and told her that. But how I knew it was locked in, it was God. I never had a conversation with my grandmother, but on her deathbed, I told her, Gran, I need you to be here because I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have children. She said, baby, I don't know if I will be. I don't know if I'll be there. I want to be there when you get married. I want to be there when you have children. I want to be there when you preach your first sermon. I was sold out because God knew the only person that I would believe would be her. And when she said that, we never had a conversation. All right, God, you got me. You didn't have to play that card. You got me. You know, and from that day, service has been a part of my life. It's been from a kid. So now I just wonder why it took so long getting on the recreation. If I knew I was going to have this much fun in recreation, I never would have went and majored in broadcast journalism. I never would have spent the time at Channel 33 and at Channel 12, at Channel 6, at KOK radio station, or let alone Warner Brothers and CBS in Los Angeles. I never would have wasted all that time. I love what I did. I love what I do in television. I love it. You know, I taught at the Radio Television Academy for a little while. I love it, you know. But I told God, I said, God, when I started preaching, God, one of these got to go. Because it was conflicting with what my passion was now. And so I was able to step out of television. And I jump back in every now and then. But service with ministry is what I do. And I would do that when I retire from this. I'll still be serving people. I'll still be serving my community through my church. I'll still be serving. And that's what we have to get to a point where we say, what can I die doing? I can die serving others. I can die serving others. Why? Because I want somebody to serve me. When I go to a restaurant, I want somebody to serve me. So why I can't serve somebody else? You know, because I want somebody in turn to serve me. So to be a good leader, you gotta be a good servant. You gotta be a servant first if you're gonna be, because all a leader is a servant. That's all a leader really is.
Yeah. Now, but you, and I like how you said that, you know, you can always serve people until the day you die. How do you think the community, Queensboro, Allendale, Lakeside, the whole community, led by the Heights, can, I'm trying to phrase my question. with all of the churches in the neighborhood, how do you think those churches can go back to serving the community that with they're in? And I say that because one of the things that I've always heard, and sometimes I find myself counting here in the Atlanta area when I drive through predominantly African-American neighborhoods, is count the church and count the liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
And they're usually on the same number, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I see 7 liquor stores, I'm gonna see 7 churches. How do you think that the church can start to serve the neighborhood as a whole to not really save it, but to start us on the right track?
Okay. Again, to go back to your leaders. When we were growing up, we had people like Dr. E. Edward Jones, Dr. C.C. McLean, Harry Blake, Pop Martin, Murphy Hunt, my pastor, Don Edwards, and our former pastor prior to him, the late Reverend J.W. Spellman. Those are people that were activists in the community, that people that saw that we control what happens in our community. If anybody can be the voice for your community, the church has to be that voice a lot of times. We stop being our voice because we let other agendas get us. But we have to start using our voice again. But people, I don't know, and I can't speak for everybody, and I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for me, because I only can be accountable for me. And that's the key word, accountable. Some people have lost that accountable, because again, how do you get people in your church? You got to capture them around your church. But if you want to stop stuff from coming into your community, especially for the church-wise, we have to do like those fellas did. They said, hey man, we don't want that in our community. And we got the people to bag it saying they don't want this in our community. There's always power in numbers, but it takes one to initiate the fight. It's like, you remember, I don't know if you ever did this. We used to go camping with Mothers Against Drugs when we was kids. We'll go to Arkansas and you take a little pebble and we're trying to skip it across the water. Well, it don't take but one pebble to make a ripple in the water. Sometimes it only takes one to start the ripple effect in the water. Now just think about when you decide to make the ripple, you're gonna have to, keep throwing it, but the ripple continues on out till it passes where you see the ripple still goes, You see it stop eventually where it started, but it still goes out, And that's what we have to become as a church. We have to be that ripple again. We have to make the initiative to say, you know what? Hey, we want to do change. We want to see better for our community, and you wanted to voice it when it's not popular, Voice it when it's not what we say is politically correct. Because only thing that's politically correct for me is what thus says the Lord. That's what's politically correct for me, because again, America was built on in God we trust. We have to get back to in God that we trust that everything to happen. If we want the world to change, we got to put it back in God's hands. We want our community to change. We all got to come together and put it back in God's hand. Why? Because 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then God says, then it's conditional. Then I will hear from heaven. I'll forgive their sins. I'll heal their land. It's going to take us to make those changes. All believers. The change starts with believers. the change for the world, the change for the city, the change for our churches, it starts with the believers. Because God made this promise to the believers. If you do this, because a lot of times we stop praying, we stop seeking God because we're trying to chase the dollar. We find ourselves falling into some wicked ways at times. He said, but if y'all would do this, in turn, I will do this for the land. There's no other God that makes that kind of promise to people that has been true to his promise. If you look at segregation, you look at the civil rights movement, it's because they decided to do what God asked them to do and stay on to the promise and hold true to the promise of God. And a lot of them didn't see the change, but now we are living in the change. We're living in the promises. Now, with us living in the promises doesn't mean that we don't have our own struggles that we have to face. So now we have to do the same thing that they did to set the promise up, not in our lifetime, because we might not see that. We might not see total change in our lifetime. But we can start investing it in our children seeing the change. But it starts with us. It starts with our commitment to do it the way God said do it, the right way. Love your neighbor as yourself. Treat each other right. And the church has to get back to preaching that. Preaching Bible, not prosperity. Preaching Bible, preaching Jesus, preaching servanthood, preaching salvation. I'm tired of feel-good sermons because it make me feel good for that moment, but when I leave there, I can't apply that feel-good no more. I still have to face life. And we have to go back to telling our community, hey, I know you're struggling, but hey, we fall down, but we can get back up, And that's the role that the church has to play in the community, because a lot of folk have fallen down. A lot of people have you done got me into a sermon, man.
I know, man. And I'm gonna tell you this. That's one of the things that I like. I remember talking to Deidre in Friendship House, Deidre Robeson at the Friendship House in South Highland, and she said something that kind of was prophetic to me. Is she said that they told her that that organization is faith-based, not faith-driven. And they said that because a lot of times faith-driven can be kind of steered in certain ways, but faith-based can take that whole dichotomy and just bring it in and say, all right, our faith is to love. Our faith is to serve. Our faith is to be a part of the community. And that's the thing that I hear from you and I see from you. It's not just hear it, I see it. And I see it in the actions that you take every day at that community center. Right? You are faith-based in everything you do, because you love those kids. And you give those kids an expectation when they walk in those doors. Those kids, and a lot of times you don't see that. You have an expectation when you walk into church to act and be a certain type of way, right? Mm-hmm. And I see you are using that same expectation at the community center. When you walk in these doors, I expect you to act and dress a certain type of way.
It's about building a foundation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every home is built on a foundation. And to be successful in life, you got to make sure that your foundation is solid, is strong. So the foundation that I live off of has not changed over 2,000 years. It's the same foundation that my mother built on. Because it still stands. And so I work and I do what I do on that foundation. And so I try to help kids build their foundation on a solid rock, something that ain't gonna crumble. I don't tell them to build your house on the beach because, the beach eventually sand is gonna wash away. I don't build your house with sticks because eventually, hey, it's gonna burn up. Build it on something that's going to last. When they tear a home down, you know what they leave? The foundation.
Look at you dropped that
You
gem.
don't see nobody totally dig up the foundation. They'll tear the house down, but they'll leave the foundation. Why? Because if I want to build another house, I can build it on this foundation. Now, if the foundation has some cracks in it, now they'll tear it out and rebuild it. But if the foundation is solid, I can tear everything down and build on that foundation. And that's what our churches, our communities, our city has to start going back to doing, building on those solid foundations. You know, I work like I work unto God every day. Because at the end of the day, God is the one that pays me. God is the one that's going to take care of me. Because I've come to the realization that I could be fired tomorrow, but God will keep me sustained. And so I try to, I don't push my religion on anyone, but I let my religion show by how I carry myself.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Oh Lord, you got, keep going. I'm sorry. that touched me right there. That touched me because, my pastor, he said something, and he said something in the vein of what you just said, that you can tell somebody, you can tell somebody what church you go to, but do you act like you go to church?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's the key, man. A lot of folk, they can tell you, oh, I'm such and such, I do this, I do that, but do you live it? You know, one of my favorite songs is "Man, the Work I've Done Speak for Me." I don't have to talk about what I've done. I don't have to tell you how they know, oh, man, he go to church. You know, I don't have to have the bumper sticker on my car. My life ought to speak to what I believe, you know. And that the only Bible that some people will ever get to read is your life. I'll let you sit on that for a little bit. You'll get that in the morning. That the only Bible that a lot of folks will ever read is your life. Well, what does your Bible say? Here's how I know. My dad had this thing about us wearing ties as kids. And I said, Dad, well, it ain't in the Bible nowhere where we have to wear a tie to church. So this is what Dad does. Dad goes to the back of the Bible, to that blank page, writes in the book of Aaron Lewis Sr., chapter 1, verse 1, "Thou shalt wear a tie at all events."
It's in there now.
It's in there.
Oh man.
It wasn't that it was in, no, it ain't in the Bible, but in this house, in this foundation, in this family, this is what we're gonna do. And that's what we have to go back to as all races, saying, hey, this is how we are going to do to be prosperous with each other. Now, you can't beat me wearing a tie, you know? I mean, look, every time I have a dress shirt on today with a tie under here, you know? But I love tying ties, you know? I got to have a tie on because why? Dad said you got to wear a tie, you know? Dad said if you wear pants with loops, you got to put a belt on. That's foundation.
Yeah.
You know, those are foundational principles that we have to live in front of people. I can't tell them boys, hey man, pull your pants up if I got mine down, because I'm the only Bible that they might ever read. And I want them to be able to see. I want them to be able to say, what must I do to be saved? What must I do to have what you're enjoying? What I got to do? You know, one of my favorite things, and how I became a Mason. I saw a guy that had a sign that said, "To be one, ask one."
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked one, how can I be one? You know? And so that's the same thing. If we want our children to be better, we got to show them better. So they can ask, hey, how can I be better? You know? How can, just like this conversation we're having about how we can make our community better. We got to start asking, we got to ask, how can we be better? And it's going to take a collaboration of people getting together saying, well, remember when I was, that's why I like old people. When I was a kid, that's when you know it's about to get good. When I was a kid, you know, we did this. Okay, well, that worked for y'all. Because I remember when I was a kid, we did this. When you was a kid, if you got in trouble in your neighborhood, down the street, it beat you up the street. Because everybody was concerned about you. Because their relationship that they had, they were a family. And no matter what, you couldn't beat the message up the street. You couldn't beat it. You just said, man, look here. By the time I get there, you think about how I'm gonna explain what I did, you know? You try to think about all the lies you're gonna tell. And when you finally get to the house and you hear your mom or dad say, 9 out of 10, when dad was at work or something, mom was the one that met you. And that's the worst whooping you could ever get from your mom. That's the worst whooping you could ever get from your mother, the one that birthed you into the world, the worst whooping you could ever get. And mama said, listen, don't lie to me, because I already know.
There you go.
You had to tell. So now we have to require that same thing from our kids and from our community and from our leaders. Don't lie to me. Because, you know, hey, I already know, I already see. So just tell me the real. If we keep it real, then people respect it. That, hey, we're being 100%, we're being real. If I can't, here's my answer to when I can't, if I don't know the answer. Give me a little time, let me research, let me find out. If more people would just be honest, say, look, I don't know the answer to that. Let me find the answer. You know, that's what I love about our administration now. They try to be transparent in things. And you can ask, hey, I don't know about this. Well, let me research it. Let me get somebody on that, you know? And then we have to hold our people accountable to do the research, you know? I don't know. I think I shifted us for a second.
No, you didn't, you know, and I know if we getting up in time, right? And, you know, you only have people attention spans for so long on these podcasts. So, you know, I'm gonna hit you with one last question. And this question, you can answer it, or, you know, I don't want you to step on no toes, but if it was something else that you saw that the park can do for the community, that you can be given, that somebody can give the park or donate to the park, or even Shelly Regal can say, hey, man, here you go, boom, there you go. This is going to help out the community. What would that thing be?
Man, look, and again, let me say this, because I'm not speaking on behalf of SPAR. I'm speaking as Aaron Lewis, to my friend, not even on behalf of Bilbery Park. I'm just speaking as Aaron Lewis. Put that disclaimer out there, because I don't want to have no repercussions of anything.
Well, if you you don't have to answer the question now.
This is what I'm saying. Just in general, I'm putting that disclaimer out there. Only thing that I could say, because what I'm going to say can't be given. Can't nobody donate this. This is something that you have to do individually.
Okay.
Make up your mind that you want to do. To make all parks, all communities better, is take the people in the communities. Because people could come in and give you some money for a little while, could put a building up here, but if you don't come in and invest your time, your talent, your treasure into it, it will never be successful. So there's nothing nobody can financially give a place to make it better. It's an individual thing. You have to say to yourself, how much is it worth to me to have this in my community or have that in my community? What advantages does it play for me? How can I make it better? You know, it goes back to servanthood. You know, the best thing is always is volunteers, people willing to help somebody else. And you can't give money for that. That's something that you have to make up in your mind and your heart that I want to do. You know, and that's what makes the city runs a little smoother. When people say, "Hey, you know what? I ain't gotta be paid for this because I see a bigger picture." You know, I want to do this because that's just who I am. My name doesn't have to ever be called for anything. I do this not to get my name called, not to be recognized for anybody. I do it because my calling that God has placed on my life. And again, when I die, when I leave here, I just want to know I try to do my very best. I try to do all I can. And that's an individual thing. People got to be willing to do it individually to see the change. Because money comes and money goes. Programs start and programs end. But if people contribute to it, something will continue on forever. It's about people being willing to go back and put their time in, come by and do, you know, visit it. I mean, our parents, they ask me all the time, "Hey, what can I do? Do we have enough this? Do we have enough water? Do we have enough when the kids in camp? Hey, give this, do that." You know, I'm not telling you have to do it, but if your heart says you want to give it, because you're making an investment into something that would be longevity. You know, I want to invest in longevity. I want to start, and that's what everybody should be doing. We should be trying to make the building blocks of longevity something that's just going to be there forever. That's why I love building blocks. Building blocks are still my favorite toys to play with, because when you build it up, building blocks will never go out of style. Why? Because little kids still play with building blocks. And you have to be willing to invest those building blocks to make those things go forward. But as an individual thing, you know, you can build all the companies, give all the money they want. But when the money run out, what you gonna do? You're gonna be looking for some more money. People come and invest in their time. And you'll never lose people. And that's the key to success. We have to have the people. The people gotta be willing to give their time to make things better. They got to see the same vision. They got to see a benefit. They got to personally say, this is worth it to me. You know, Booker T. Washington High School, go back to our alma mater. Old Booker T. Washington. You know, we sing that song, how much we'll cherish thee. We talk about our colors, maroon and white, will boldly fly. Royal Lions, brave mascot, keep spirits high. You know, we talk about all that stuff. But if nobody goes back to keep talking about it and putting in that effort, that song would stop. So we as a community have to keep saying, hey, this is where I'm from. That's why I came back to Louisiana. When I came back to Louisiana, I kind of left and went back to Los Angeles. But I saw a need of what I do, what I learned here. And so I said, I'm Shreveport strong. I'm Lakeside strong. I'm Queensboro strong because I want to be here. I want to see a change. I want to see a difference. And only an individual can do that. It goes back to your individual commitment, what you feel as an individual. You know, again, that one individual can make a ripple in the water. But if you don't want to make a ripple, then you'll stay silent in the shadows, you know. But we need people that's going to be individuals that's going to be out there, because why? Somebody, some kid is watching us. And they're getting their lead from us. how the next generation is going to be is based on how we are right now.
Yeah.
Again, that's an individual thing. You got to make up your mind individual. I'm going to walk up right before kids. I'm going to walk up right before all men because I want to make a difference. You have to make that individual choice. Mr. John, he had something he wanted to tell me.
No, I mean, man, you just dropping gems, man. You just constantly dropping gems on us, and I love it, man. I'm so happy to have you on today. This right here, once again, man, I just your optimism, your faith, and your hope in the community and in Shreveport as a whole, man. I'm happy you came back, man. I'm happy you came back, and I'm happy to know you.
Man, look, I'm happy to know you. I mean, my faith is built on nothing less but Jesus' blood and his righteousness. That's what I'm built on, and because he gave so much for me in my sinful state. I mean, let's think about it. A good person, people ain't dying for. We wouldn't die for a sinner, but he died for us. And Dr. King said one time, it ain't worth it if it ain't worth dying for. If our communities ain't worth dying for, then it ain't worth having a community. It ain't worth having a city if it ain't worth dying for. If it ain't worth fighting for. If it ain't worth giving all I have. Man, I don't leave work until 8 o'clock at night. And I don't have to. I do it because I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ask for overtime. I don't ask for comp time. When I get here, I get involved with these kids. I get involved with people. When I go to my church, it's hard for me to get away from the church because I'm involved with people. And that's what it has to be worth it. It has to be, the city and the community have to be worth the sacrifice. And if you believe it's worth the sacrifice, then you make the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Is Allendale worth the sacrifice? Is Lakeside worth the sacrifice? Is Shreveport worth the sacrifice? Yes, it is. Because our sacrifice is what the next generation will stand on.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Man, I'm making notes right here.
Hey, John, don't worry, we're recording it.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot it was being recorded. But you know what I mean? That's gold right there. It is.
There you go, man.
If it ain't worth dying for. I was just talking about that with Miss Rosie. Said if God wants to save Allendale, and if it means her dying, and she's ready to go. And that's just so inspiring. And that's right on what you were just saying. So I'm making my notes.
I know, right, man? And man. All right.
Think about your children.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get this one more.
Go ahead.
I promise you I'm going to leave you alone because I got to get back up. Think about our children. We will work hard day in, day out for our children to have something better than we ever have. We will work and die on the job to make sure our kids have better than we ever had. And that's what we have to do with our city and our community. We have to put that sweat in that they can have better than we ever had, Because now what that means is they're now obligated to make what you made better the best. And then that next generation, I don't know what else can be after the best. They have to make it better and better and better and better and better and better until we finally get to where we can say it's the best. When do we get to that point? We never will.
Mm-mm.
We never will. Because let me tell you when we get to that point. When Jesus makes his return back, we've reached the best. But until then, we have to keep making everything in our families, our church, our communities better. Every step, every day, every week, every month, every year, every generation. every man, every woman, every child. It's the buy-in principle. Buy-in principle. You don't get a kid to really do what you want them to do until they buy into you. So you got to sell them something that they can buy into. Prime example to that Coach Lorenzo Powell. You remember Coach Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Powell taught us tennis. I didn't want to go to Boogie T. I wanted to go to Captain Street with all my cousins because I got tired of being around my friends. I wanted to go experience something different. But when I bought into what Coach Powell was talking about how great Boogie T was, and I saw it, I knew what I wanted to be. And that's what we have to be in our community. We have to put back into our communities, into our centers, into our city, into our families, that thing that our kids say, yeah, I want to be that. I want to do that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's, man. Oh, man. Hey, let church say amen.
It's offering time. It's offering time.
Oh man. You have blessed us today, Aaron. You have blessed us today.
Amen.
I'm just, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. John, I'm gonna go and let you have the last word before we go into the and passing the offering plate around.
Well, you don't want me to sing, I'll tell you that. No, I just, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out where to reach out to you? Should they, you got an email or social media?
I do have a social media page. It's Aaron Demond Lewis II on Facebook. I am on Facebook. My email is adlewisii77@gmail.com. And then if you want to know about the programs at Bilbery Park, you always call Bilbery Park at 318-673-5345. You could always do that. I'm always available.
Well, I'm going to check in with you and see how my church can help Bilbery Park, because we like to give. So if it's water in the summer, I don't need a lot of water right now, but I'll find you and we'll see what we can do to help. We love to give to others.
Come by and see me and I'll give you a tour of the whole facility.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, absolutely. I love people too. I can tell you do. So.
Oh yeah, I do Roosevelt, and see, this is the problem I have with Rosie. Rosie, we have a friend named George Washington, and when we was growing up, me, George Roosevelt, and Jacoby Carter.
Yeah,
it was the four of us a lot of times, and these fellows are taller than me. We had class reunion, and I told them I don't like them, and the reason why I don't like them because they come and they want to stand over you, knowing they're way taller than you. I'm still the same height I was in high school, and it makes me feel bad. And I told them I have a little man complex. So they have to come down some for me.
Hey, he said that we were taking a picture. We were like, y'all go in the back. Y'all go in the back.
I'm 6'2" and he gives me little man complex. Everybody that knows him from watching him thinks he's short. But no,
listen, y'all. I love
looking
y'all.
up at it.
Thank y'all for letting me be here with y'all. I got to go.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. And if you want to go ahead and walk off, you can. But I have to say this last part. Thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. You can check all our podcasts wherever you can check our podcasts. Right now, we are on Facebook Podcast. And we are also on YouTube. If you want to go check the YouTube page, go to Allendale Strong and the YouTube page, right, to check out all of our videos. And we post all the time. And you can also go to allendalestrong.org and you can check out our website for Allendale Strong. We also put out an events podcast and the YouTube on the website. You go ahead and go check out that. And I'm happy to have you. Thank you for checking us out. John, thank you for checking us out. And thank you everybody for listening and being a part of this. If once again, if you want to check out Aaron, I'll put his information down below. And thank you everyone. Have a blessed day.